The Outcast Report. Found in Talia Porter's house. Let me read this. Come on. There we go. The mysterious outcast is shockingly real. I'm positively puzzled as to why, but someone is unmistakably drawing breath outside the protective walls. How am I decidedly aware of this? Well, I certainly am just that great, and this enigma positively proved quite a fascinating individual, so I've decided to benevolently eternalize the astounding details here. Just for the unrealistic eventuality I somehow find myself in a dreadful situation I can't get out of, as absolutely unlikely as it is. Label it my official outcast report. Winky face. Considering the ghastly conditions out there, our character is not the most orderly individual. But he is capable, surprisingly enough, understands our complex language. Although I naturally had to adjust my manner of speech to his extremely subject standard. Our subject proved surprisingly well read, in fact. There are a lot of passable books in one part of his dusty refuge. He must have ardently read them all. Where is the secretive hideout? Well, I won't go into the true specifics, but it's in a certain place in the haunted West Ruins. Sadly, he wasn't particularly willing to talk much about his unknown past, but at least he doesn't appear boorishly hostile. He sufficiently explained a near-comprehensive lot about his current way of living to me, at least. It patently appears he's persisting by hunting for simple food and gathering what he can get. He's in possession of one of those antique arms, an ordinarily called shotgun, I carefully presume. In a surprising addition, he has obtained one of those unpleasantly sharp steel arms and turned it into a handy weapon, too. I do have to remain in curious wonder as to how he's even succeeded to do that. He proudly showed me some improvised traps and claimed that was part of how he managed it. Further, he must have quite some experience with that manner of thing. The thought! Oh, the disconcerting basement of his hideout is thoroughly filled with odd goods, herbs and vials of strange liquids. Apparently, a fair lot of it is stinger poison he has dangerously collected and diligently studied for years. It was shockingly revealed to me that stingers actually shoot hundreds of different poisons, making it difficult to produce a reliable antidote for all of them. And he told me they all have very different distressful effects on the human body, too. One chemically reacts with liquid blood, essentially causing your untimely death by depriving your bloodstream of vital oxygen. Another seems to directly target your brain, leading to considerably frightening short-term memory loss and making the unfortunate victim pass out. I deeply wonder if the purpose of this is that those unsuspecting victims do not remember they got viciously assaulted and return once more if they somehow survive. There are other fairly harmless ones that just temporarily tranquilize you and do not even take immediate effect. It is considerably confusing why stingers do what they do. They never made much logical sense anyways. At any rate, he certainly appears adequately proud of his putrid collection. Just wonderful. Another gentleman that is decidedly too obsessed with his little laboratory. I sympathetically inquired if he had a spell, but apparently he does not even have such a natural thing. I consequently showed him mine, yet it curiously seemed like he has heard of it before, as he did not seem adequately surprised enough. Maybe I was not the very first lucky visitor. Anyway, that undoubtedly meant that there was no possibility to get him into town on the typical route. I planned to teleport him in, I'll shamelessly admit, but he swiftly declined, saying that it would just inevitably get me into trouble. Pretty weird. I would have surprised an absolute bookworm to be at least a tiny bit curious. Oh well, at the very least he seems to always be looking forward to seeing me these days. This is positive synergy. Oh. Apparently you've been keeping quite a secret. Let us continue, shall we? There's actually someone living outside. They have a collection of herbs. They're fairly well read because of old books. Talia said absolutely nothing about this. I should have known. She's being a pain as usual. Well, this report certainly suggests this outcast is real. So, she is still alive after all these years. Or was. Going by the unidentifiable corpse we found. Unless there were multiple outcasts. Unless this is a bad typo on someone's part, The note mentions the outcast is Except that's nonsense. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever nonsense remains must be the truth. No, this might as well be impossible. Living out there for 70 years? 1 year is already a stretch. Even if she did somehow manage to scrape by at first, her body would have eventually been no longer in any condition to keep going. Wouldn't she only need to be like 85? Might not sound that difficult to you, but that's only because we have the right medicine available here. She wouldn't have that, even if she did. She could not undergo telomerase therapy. Her body would age much faster than ours. She's only 15, so I doubt they'd already done it. It's normally done at around 20 years of age. At 85, her body would look older than the Great Guardian does right now. Chances of her still being healthy enough to deal with the dangers out there are 0. The body we saw, I don't think it was that of an old woman. Can you say that for sure, with a face gone? I'm pretty certain. Then how do you explain this? I don't know, yet. Unless there was a really bad typo in that report, talking about the outcast that Talia supposedly meant as a man. Think carefully. There's an alternate explanation, isn't there? No. Maybe she actually wasn't human. Maybe she was a... Really? We have to still seriously consider vampires? I'll have to think this over without your crazy hypotheses. Oh, then you don't want my third piece of evidence. How many more do you have? This is the last one. Okay then, what did you find? When we entered Maxwell's shop, one book in the back caught my attention. He noticed me looking at it and put it away, but I caught a glimpse at the title and what page he had it open to. Observant. Well, what was it? And is it important? It was a monster guide. Oh, monster? That's an unusual word to use. It's a guide about the ones outside the city. I guess them guide would have sounded silly. The information provided covers the 3 known specimens. Maxwell had it open to the page about slicers. Coincidence? Who knows? More reading. Although maybe Mr. Maxwell is the guy that Talia was talking about in the notes, and they somehow killed the actual outcast and brought him into the city. It's just, I don't know. That seems kind of a glaring typo to just kind of glance over. Talia talking about a man in the notes, but the rumored outcast being a woman. I don't know. Okay, basic overview. Albeit giving them a common term has been thoroughly avoided. They'll be referred to as monsters in this book to avoid confusion. There are three known types of these species, though it is likely more exist. 3 types are called haunters, slicers, and stingers. Monsters seem to populate most of the world outside the walls, though very old manuscripts seem to indicate that there used to be a time when they did not exist in such numbers, and most of the world was in fact populated by humans. Whether such a utopian past is plausible is not the topic of this book, however. It is to give a basic idea, possibly prepare the reader for an encounter. Without preparation, such an encounter is unlikely to end with the reader's survival. There are some traits all 3 types share. These monsters do not seem to have a need for consumption. None of them even possess an organ resembling a mouth. It is therefore unclear how they are able to keep moving. Generally accepted that they are not alive the same way we are. Despite this, their behavior is very much predatory. Again, for reasons unknown. Likewise, they also do not seem to have the capacity of reproduction. It is speculated that they emerged from corpses of humans and animals. Nothing about this process has been sufficiently observed or understood. Their density around areas of death that were once populated by humans or animals seems to support this theory. Interesting. Haunters. Mostly found around the graveyard near the church to the west and nearby ruins. Floating creatures that vaguely resemble a human shape and form. human shape in torn brownish rags, except with no legs emerging. Have two very bony arms with claws for hands. Instead of a human head, theirs looks more like the head of an insect, like a fly or bee. Their eyes have been observed to glow in the dark, likely called haunters due to their vague resemblance to ghosts or phantoms. By far the type considered the most dangerous. Their bodies seem to be able to completely ignore physical matter, being able to float through walls like they are not even there. They do not have ears and rely entirely on their eyes. Despite this, they do not seem to be able to see any better in the dark than a normal human. Once they spot a target, they will ceaselessly float toward it and try to kill it with their claws. They use their natural advantage to ignore obstacles and attack from unexpected angles. If the reader is spotted, running away is advisable, as any physical methods of defense are absolutely ineffective. Even most spells do not seem to work on them, the Great Guardian's Barrier being a fortunate exception. Slicers, mostly found around the steel factory and nearby ruins. Okay. A six-legged creature that vaguely resembles an oversized scorpion that's standing a little more upright in the front and does not have a tail. Their head, if it can be called that, has no eyes or mouth. It features two tall, vertical ears comparable to a rabbit's. Instead of arms or claws, these creatures have two crescent-shaped steel blades. Despite having no eyes, their ability to hear is astounding. The blades are made of a material that's assumed to be incredibly hard steel. It is in fact the hardest currently known material. They are also sharp enough to cut through most other things. Despite this, they are incredibly light and do not slow the creature down much. They are, in fact, much faster than the average human. When they hear something, their behavior amounts to rushing toward the source until it's dead. Readers advised not to make much noise, even if just in their general vicinity. If heard, running is not advisable, as will produce even more noise, and outrunning them is unlikely. Instead, the reader is advised to hide and not make much of a sound. While they can cut even through stone, given enough time, having a barricade might slow them down. And stingers, found in the forest. A head with large glass eyes and no other facial features, and a thin neck going into the ground. Part of their bodies that stays below ground has never been observed by someone who lived to tell the tale. At the back of their neck, several curved tails with pointy ends stand up vertically, being long enough to reach just a little above the head. Despite looking like mere balls of glass, their eyes are capable of registering movement. Stingers tend to lay in wait behind trees or other hard-to-see locations. When something moves within their line of vision, these creatures move their tails back and forth to fling hundreds of small poisoned spikes at their prey. The effective range seems to be about 20 feet. The reader is advised not get close, as no known antidote is known to their poison, and it proved lethal in most cases. When suspecting stingers are nearby, it is advisable to throw something to test for them before advancing. Well, that was horrifying. This isn't the entire book, is it? Condensed to key information for your convenience. I'm not sure how to feel about her being this helpful. Take a look, I guess. It's nap time after all. Heh. So she actually was tired. I suppose it's been a rather unusual day, but still. Guess I'll use this time to think over some facts again. I should carefully study these new documents before I move on. There's quite a lot that needs to be connected here. Look at this. Oh shit, what? What? At first glance, this entire case is both crystal clear and a mess. Let's figure out the exact events of the murder for now. There's probably not much left to figure out there. The police has that handled. However, this outcast report... I suppose it's true that someone lived out there. Then we get to the question, how did Talia Porter know that much about it? Is there anything that shows how she knew so much about this person? A report? kind of gives it away in the report itself. On the last page, she even said this outcast was looking forward to her visits. Talia left town and visited that person multiple times. That would definitely explain her knowing so much. Was she doing her own research? She visited them in their only hideout, that place in the western ruins. But something's strange about that. I mean, a lot of things are strange, but part of this is questionable. Why write a report? Why the western ruins? Why didn't they kill each other? Why write a report? Why write a report? It's not that strange. She was curious, wanted to keep the info noted down. The fact she burned it is a little odd. It could be worth keeping in mind, but it doesn't connect. Something else nagging me. A more questionable decision. Western ruins? West ruins. It feels like an odd choice for a hideout. But why? Why is that location not the best choice? What makes it disadvantageous? It's haunted by haunters? It's read to them, as everything should be, out there. More specifically, this type is the issue here. Haunters. Haunters. Considering their ability to just ignore walls. Any sort of fortified base is pointless. The Great Guardian's barrier is the only thing known to stop them. Considering they're mostly around the church and nearby places, having a hideout there should not really help you for long. You couldn't defend against them. In addition, this weapon would have been completely pointless against them. Shotgun? Yes, that's right. There's another weapon that's equally pointless. The slicer? Okay. These pieces combined reveal an inconsistency. Blade, a gun, fortress in the west. This is a contradiction. Defending against haunters with physical means is impossible. True, you might be able to hide for a while, but once any of them ever gets into your hideout, you'd be screwed immediately. And at least one of these items suggests they've been to a different location. Oh, because the slicer arm is found to the east. The blade was made for the arm of a slicer. However, slicers are not prevalent in the western regions. They only show up around the abandoned steel factory and the nearby ruins to the east. This blade would be illegal in town. You cannot smuggle it through the gate. In other words, it's very likely that this belonged to that outcast fellow. It's pretty impressive they actually managed to obtain one. Wounding a slicer without any spells is no small feat. The important thing here is that they fought at least one to obtain this. Now, no sane person would fight a slicer without any kind of safety nearby. It's therefore reasonable to conclude they probably had some kind of base or hideout in that part of the ruins as well. Well, at least a temporary one. Now, is that helpful at all? Could there be a clue there? But think of it. Can I just learn someone else's interest in slicers? Maxwell? Yeah, Maxwell. He seemed interested because this was present in his shop. The Monster Guide? Okay. Monster Guide opened with a page about slicers. Could this be related? He was clearly hiding something. It seemed to show a strong reaction when we mentioned the murder. Granted, anyone would be perplexed, but it wasn't just that. Does he actually know something? Is it related to slicers? So close. Now there's something here. What? Wonder who that could be. Maybe the detective figured something out. Hello? Hello? Good evening, Mr. Sky. Something about that voice is very unnatural. Person on the other end. Either struggling to speak or forcing themselves to speak very slowly. Who are you? Who I am. We've met just a short while ago, haven't we? I feel like I'd remember that. Maybe a name will help me out. A name. Now, that matters too simple, don't you think? Sounds to me like you'd rather not share. Curious. Of course not. I am the mastermind, after all. The what? Come on, Mr. Sky. Fill in the blanks. It's not that difficult. This is exhausting. Don't make it harder to get to the point than it has to be. I take it this is related to the incident, then. Good. I knew you were at least that smart. Your investigation has been quite the disaster, hasn't it? Oh, got no others to compare it to, so I wouldn't know. Come on now. I've watched your every move, Mr. Sky. I will admit, retrieving the burned report with a spell was rather clever. Oh. You are blessed with a rather gifted assistant. How the... I told you. I've been watching. You're collecting quite a bit of evidence. It's a shame, though. This won't be enough for you to reach the truth. How would you know? I told you, didn't I? I am the mastermind. Of the murder? Now. No questions. It doesn't matter either way. You should really just surrender and accept my help. You know, I am omniscient. Even if I wasn't involved, I would know. Sure. You doubt? That is fine. I knew you would. I'm trying to figure out what to make of this. As expected. Then, let me tell you a little something. The closest east ruins. Examine the ground carefully. The street just next to the crime scene holds a clue. Finally, a phone booth just west of the town is in company of vital evidence. What's this? I'm just trying to help you out a bit, little. After all, you are about to be part of a futile battle. I don't really see what's in it for you. If you're really some kind of mastermind, I shouldn't trust you. A fair point. It's fine, though. I know you will do it anyway. Because I am omniscient. Who are you, really? That won't do. If you need a name that badly, call me V. V. V what? V for Vendetta. Just V. Now, if you'll excuse me, that took more energy than expected. If you have time to give me cryptic hints, why not just tell me what this is about? Hello? Looks like they hung up. What? What was that? How would some mastermind call me? Is this a trap? The location seemed rather specific. Made up on the spot? Or is there something more to it? I mean, the first thing to suspect is that they're trying to lure me outside, but... what am I supposed to do with this? Ray is probably asleep in her room. I could go out again without her noticing. Doctor, what would you want me to do in this situation? No risk, no reward, East Ruins. Well, East Ruins, here we go. Eastern City Ruins, a random street. Just couldn't help my curiosity. Are there slicers nearby? As long as I don't make any noise, I should be fine. Anyway, what's this? This is blood. don't speak. I can't make any sound. Anyway, this blood seems a little older. There's already dirt all over it. Could that have been the rain last night? Hard to say. Take a note of it. It might be important. Dried bloodstain. A professional analysis. There's not much more I can conclude about it. Yeah, we need Colin Claret's analysis. The bloody spectacle. It's curious, but I can't connect it to anything we know. Maybe it's the blood for the female corpse in the what am I thinking? The female corpse in the West Ruins. Damn it, I need more clues. Looking around here feels like an aimless search. If there truly was another hideout here, as I reasoned, I probably wouldn't be able to find it. There must be something. Somewhere. Something is going on. I can figure this out. I just need to visit the crime scene again. Look at places the police didn't get to investigate thoroughly or something. Western City Ruins, near the crime scene. There has to be something still here. This is the street the defendant and victim arrived on. The one on the left of the diagram. The corner up ahead. That was the one that popped up multiple times in testimonies, didn't it? Yeah, it's probably the one where the defendant waited, and the witness peeked around later. What's this on the ground? Nothing. For a moment it looked like a very faint blood trail running parallel to the street, but it definitely isn't. Just some dirt. Damn. I need to keep it together. Imagining clues won't help me solve this mess. Something. There has to be something here. It's just a hunch, but this corner seems vital. Nothing. Can't see a thing. But what's that smell? Rubber? It kind of smells like that. Look near the ground. Where is it coming from? What? Is this a fragment of a blade or something? It has to be a very sharp one. Something like a razor blade. There's a strong smell of rubber in the area around it, but I can't perceive anything that might be causing it. I'll add it. Might be another piece of the puzzle. Razor fragment. What does it mean? Is there another weapon related to this case? Do I need to keep looking for clues? I'm running out of time. No, I can't give up now. I need to keep investigating every suspicious nook and cranny. Are those eyes? Haunters, it's them. Quick, think. They spotted you. Let's take this moment to read up on haunters again. Running away is advisable. Spells don't work on them. Elementary God did it. Behind me. Two? Oh no. I need to get away. I can't let it end. Like I've been careless. Hey. What happened? Finally awake, huh? Where? Where are we? Outside. You're Mr. Claret. You remember me, do you? That's good. Maybe you also remember what happened. I'm not sure, but it's pretty painful. Yes, that's a good way to put it. It is. If I hadn't been there, you'd have been torn apart. Huh. Right, there were haunters. They got me. But why were you there? Got a call earlier. Someone told me I'd find you out here. Called themselves V, they did. Follow you if you try anything funny, they told me. Huh. Guess they predicted me after all. Guess that means you saved me. Yes. Dragged you back to here, I did. No problem. In the end, I did learn the color of your blood. I've been idiotic. Got too obsessed with getting to the bottom of this case. I don't think it's wrong, but I should have known my limits. Wait, how did you manage to get me away from those haunters? Good question, isn't it? Had one just in case I needed it. A flash grenade. Grenade? You mean bomb? It explodes with a flash brighter than the sun, it does. I used that time to get you away while they were disoriented. Still sounds like a pretty close call. Yeah. Aren't you glad it worked? Don't do it again, though. No promises I'll be there. Where are we, anyway? Look behind you. We're near the town walls, but still outside. I see. What's this? Just some ancient thing. I think they call it a phone booth. Yes, I've heard of those. Public telephones. What's that beside it? Contraption with 2 wheels? Yeah. I don't know. First time I've seen it. Wait, I think Ray mentioned this once. Could this be a bicycle? More ancient terms. Yeah. It looks kind of interesting. Apparently this was used to traverse distances. This thing? Yeah. Looks like you just crash if you tried. There are some faint traces nearby, like it's been driven here recently. Wheels are also quite dirty. A phone booth accompanied by vital evidence, huh? I doubt this random thing could be relevant in any way, shape, or form, but Ray told me to believe in seemingly useless pieces of evidence earlier. A piece of rope was raised. I think I'll make this bike my own personal trash evidence. Alright. A bicycle. Mysterious relic with 2 wheels. By the way, why didn't you just carry me back inside? Don't be silly. You know how mechanically stubborn the gatekeepers are. Unless they can verify your spell ID, they won't open the door. You cannot verify it while you're unconscious, so I had to wait. I see. Thank you. You're right, we should head back inside. Stay there. Rather just forget about this trip. Even though I did find some additional evidence. Just one last question. Desiree was interested if you found out anything useful. Just in case you want the police to help you with something. I guess there's something you could do for me. Talia Porter and Damon Maxwell. These 2 may be important witnesses that need to be called tomorrow. Yeah, gotcha, man. I'll tell him to check them out. With the police on their trail, they won't be able to keep whatever they're keeping secret. Well, Talia could evade them, but even she probably isn't that stupid. After that event, I did not feel wise to continue my investigation anymore. I headed home, effectively none the wiser. Was it my lack of experience? Had I just been tricked into thinking there was nothing more to this? Maybe the opposite. Maybe I failed to investigate properly. All the witnesses, even the defendant, they all seem to still be hiding things from me. On top of that, some mastermind apparently tried playing me for a fool. I feel like I should have given Claire the blood stain in the East Ruins, although it's way too late to do anything useful about it. Though I'm confident I put in a fair amount of effort. I almost died after all. In my mind, I knew it would most likely be all for naught. After all, I would be facing him tomorrow. A man with much more experience than myself. The very prosecutor who had made trials obsolete, or a formality at best. How would I fare? I suppose I was a little nervous. At the same time, I was curious how I would fare. Whether what I'd done today would pay off. To be continued. Oh, okay. Are we going to advance? Oh, there we go. Got all our stuff. Oh, wow. Great Guardian's Court. Defendant's Lobby. I think the first time I visit the palace would be for such an unusual occasion. Don't get nervous now. An attorney is supposed to smile when things are desperate. It's hard to share your optimism. Sure, we've certainly collected lots of evidence, relevant or not. Even with this much preparation, most of it looks irrelevant. It'll be fine. Just remember the 3 golden rules. First, bluff with a face of stone. Second, soundly object with your cords of steel. Third, shine with radiant hope even in your most desperate moments. If you believe in your client, everything will work out. Well, that's unfortunate. Hi, Nils. Speak of the devil. Believe in his story, huh? A hard thing to do. There's no more need to exchange words. If he's lying, it's going to be exposed soon. It is interesting. I see the special guests have arrived in time. Did Mr. Claret relay my message? Straight to the point, hmm? Yes, he did. The 2 witnesses you wanted, we've got them here. He wasn't pleased, but it seems like he got something interesting out of them. I see. Gotta hand it to you. I didn't think you'd found something we didn't. Just you wait. We'll use this to stall the trial for hours. Ray, no. Stalling is more or less the best we can hope for right now. Our friend is set on not letting it come to that. Told me he's seen attorneys trying to derail trials for hours before. Well, it's all up to the judge in that case. Which might be where our sole advantage lies. Great Guardian cared enough about this case to hold this trial. Whether it's sympathy or something else, he'll likely want each aspect of the case to be thoroughly explored. On the other hand, he's still a man that sticks to the rules of he's set. He won't go against his own laws. Safety and order of the town always comes first. Well, I'll leave you to calculating your chances then. Come on, Linus, what's the big deal anyway? Keep bringing up that prosecutor like he's the most ominous villain ever. Rio, what's with all the he's gonna crush us? I did do that, didn't I? Wasn't on purpose. And tell me his name already. Yeah, that's the thing. His name's kind of strange, so it's hard to remember. Well, if you don't know, I suppose I should tell you. His name is Orpheus Justice. Oh, shit. As I mentioned, he's the only prosecutor we need. That would be because of his spell. Truthful Melody. Oh. Truthful Melody? Allows him to do one simple thing. When he listens to people, he can hear the lies in their words. Oh, shit. Oh, what? But then that means... But... And how do we even... You realize the implications. Good. Basically, anyone speaks a lie on the stand today, he will know about it right away. In other words, all testimonies are, in theory, guaranteed to end up 100% true. And as you know, he's already interrogated the defendant. No way. As far as I know, he asks every person a very simple question before the arrest. Are you the culprit? It should be obvious. You're sure to have received a reply from the defendant already. A reply that convinced him of his case. We're going up against someone who can verify people's words just like that. It's bound to be a hopeless fight, unless we can defeat the truth. It's cheating. It's outrageous. Prosecutors are supposed to be wrong. Well, there's a reason trials have been considered pointless. When the truth is apparent, all you really need to do is hand down the verdict. I know. Maybe he's lying. The prosecutor's the villain. What then? He's one of the Great Guardian's most trusted citizens. There have, of course, been many tests to verify his spell ability. Good luck debunking him. Better hope we won't have to. He's 104! He's... What? Look at this! He's 104! No pro can hear the lies in person's words. Feels pain and exhaustion depending on the severity of the lie. Lead to loss of consciousness or worse. Holy shit. That's kind of scary. This music is ridiculously intense. So the trial began, with us all but ready to acknowledge that this was, after all, a hopeless battle. But I intended to play my role in this game to the best of my ability regardless, against the man who could perceive all lies. How would I fare? I wanted to find out. Fucking 104. Great Judgment Hall. Oh, there's the Great Guardian. He's 387. Man who enables this town to survive. His spell is Safe Haven. That create a rapidly expanding spherical barrier that covers a large area. Barrier is impenetrable. Anything else can still pass through the barrier besides them. Once cast, it cannot ever be recast. Court is now in session for a trial of Nils Gickham. Our defense and prosecution prepared. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Racy to think the prosecution would show up late, to be fashionable. Doesn't seem to be the case. How'd this go again? The defense is ready as well, Great Guardian. Your honor is sufficient in these halls, Mr. Sky. I am sorry for any inconvenience this matter may be to you. It's not a problem. I feel honored you entrusted this to me. I see. For the commencing of the trial, what is the state of your experiments? There's been a major breakthrough, but I'll need more time to test things. Very well. Good luck then. Now it is a time for a return to a matter at hand. Do not worry. I promise the defense's time will not be occupied for too long. Though they seemed adamant enough to investigate unrelated trivialities. I've broken too many promises to trust them. Regarding my investigation, I intend to give my best effort in this defense. Although the power is lacking, the will is commendable. Frankly, I do not see the point of this trial, Your Honor. I've been presiding over many trials back before your appearance as a prosecutor, Mr. Justice. The judicial system may be bothersome to you in appearance at this moment. However, times and times again, they have been a reminder to me that our ancestors were truly wise people. There is clearly no better instrument for determining truth. The truth has been all but found in this case. However, if it is your wish to be thorough, I'll be happy to recount the details, Your Honor. Assured of his victory. Kinda makes me want to actually accomplish something today. Thank you, Mr. Justice. Will an opening statement be next, then? Naturally. As we all know, Titus Ronos was brutally killed 2 nights ago. Truly a tragic loss for the Guardian Force. Yesterday I have posed his apprentice, Nils Gickham, a simple question. Are you the killer? Here it comes. He dodged around for a while, but in the end, he denied the accusation. Yet as I had the displeasure of experiencing, he was lying. Displeasure? Right. If I remember correctly, his spell's limit was rather painful. Whenever he hears a lie with it, he experiences pain and mental stress equal to the lie's severity. I don't know how painful it is, but I've heard it's caused him to fall into a coma before. Wow. Is he really able to just get away with this? This is essentially all up to the Great Guardian. Trials haven't happened in a while. Not sure if you can even call this one in the strictest sense. More like an investigation report with the main suspect. We'll have to argue until he's satisfied. But that also means it might be harder to get the defendant off the hook. True. We'll see. My expectations for you were no less, Mr. Justice. Your ability has been too accurate for there to be questions in my mind about it. However, for this boy to be a murderer of his father-like mentor, I am without understanding for why he would be such a thing. At the very least, it is my wish for this point to be cleared up today. We're already set on everything with the motive? Lovely. I do not seem to trust him enough to skip this trial entirely as usual. Something he doubts about this justice, or misjustice. I bet still that this is related to his failure to produce a culprit 3 months ago. Rest assured, Your Honor. The matter should clear itself up today in a timely fashion. I will not tolerate any lies on this stand. Moving on, the prosecution would like to summon its first witness. The detective who was in charge of this investigation. He should be able to explain the case better than me. Very well. Detective, it is time for a testimony on the witness stand. Been a while, hasn't it? I expected more dust on this stand. Good job keeping this place clean. Name and occupation, Detective. Alright. No time for small talk, I gotcha. Adrian Descry. Homicide Detective. You know it. Thank you. You're welcome. You've thoroughly investigated the crime scene, I take it. Well, as thorough as was needed. An investigation out there must have been rather dangerous. Don't worry, we managed. Took all the precautions. We didn't have that much time to check everything, but we got most of it done. Shame we couldn't take some of the evidence with us, but rules are rules. I'm glad for your understanding. An introduction of foreign objects into my safe haven is simply too much of a risk. Do you, Mr. Descry, feel able to give an accurate summary of the crime, then? Should be possible. In that case, go right ahead. No lies? Whoosh. Simple overview for a simple case. Ooh. The evidence speaks for itself, really. The victim and defendant left the town as a group. As is evident from the gate records. They headed for the west ruins and explored them. We have a witness to back this up. Then the defendant launched a deadly attack against Mr. Ronos. Poor fool never saw it coming. Afterwards he tried his best to hide the evidence, but it was no use. As you can see, it did not get more simple than this. Hiding the evidence seems suspicious. The prosecution would like to submit the official autopsy report. There's really nothing surprising in it. As we had, though, the victim died as a result of the decapitation. It is accepted. Let's see what this consists of. Cut to the victim's neck was delivered quickly by a sharp object. Death occurred within 8 seconds. The estimated time of death between 11:30 p.m. and 11:55 p.m. Cause of death, decapitation. Makes sense. Really simple enough. Let's hope it doesn't get updated later. Why? Oh, Linus. Mr. Sky, if there's sufficient knowledge in your mind about how to perform a cross-examination. Hardly needed, but I suppose rights are rights. Sure, I'll manage. Okay, this is the vital part. Just press everything and present all of your evidence at the most probable statements. Then again, it's the detective's testimony. Your pressing will suffice? Don't think so. We already got more than enough info. If we want more, we need to get to the witnesses. The problem is that the case is already extremely clear. I get the feeling if you don't find some kind of issue right away, I won't ever make it to the witnesses. No way, that'd be lame. Please no bad end. Well, better start going over everything we know. Can I find a problem with the most basic facts of the case? We'll see. This is where things get serious for you, huh? Alright, shoot me any questions you have. How cooperative of you, Detective.
Hold it!
Alright. What evidence do you really have? You didn't even have the resources to check the weapon for fingerprints with you. True, but we do have a defendant who denied ever holding that weapon. Which turned out to be false, of course. And a witness who saw the defendant at the scene, weapon in hand. Which turned out to be true, of course. I can already tell this is going to be bothersome. Did witness really see the crime, though? Do you need a reminder of the basics, after all? What the witness saw will be handled in his testimony. I did, of course, listen to it beforehand. If anything, he is most definitely not lying. Huh. Reassuring to know that there was a perfectly true witness testimony ahead of us. Apologies. I'll try to stick to the most basic facts for now, then. Good to hear. Continue, Detective. Alright. I mean, we really don't need to press this. Okay, there we go. Just took a long time to save for some reason.
Hold it!
But we may as well press it. You're referring to these documents, I presume? That's right. Every time a person passes through that gate, the identity is noted down. This method is completely reliable, yes? I think you already know the answer to that one. Of course it is. Gatekeepers have the ability to check a human's identity. Nobody could go past them disguised as another person. Doing so would require them to obtain that person's spell, which is impossible, of course. Right, extensive research went into trying to copy, alter, or extract spells from a person. General consensus that it's absolutely impossible. Besides, the defendant already admitted to us that he did actually go. Continue. You're not pressing him hard enough. Looking for a chance here. It's not easy. Well, there's more to back up the point. Head for the West Ruins and explore them. We have a witness to back this up. Again, we can't doubt that. The witness. His testimony proved true, reliable, and consistent with the facts. If you still wish to peruse it, you have to be patient. Yeah, it looks like I won't give anywhere pursuing this for now. Do you have any idea what they were doing in those ruins? They looked to have the character of a search or exploration. We're a little uncertain on this point, but Mr. Ronas had apparently been known to be somewhat of a lone wolf. In other words, he kept conducting investigations in secret, on his own. Indeed, he was extremely careful when it came to information. He was convinced there were hidden forces. Forces actively trying to manipulate the Great Guardian's administration. As such, he liked to keep the nature of his investigations completely to himself. I am convinced every action of Mr. Ronas was in an interest of our town. His competence was unmatched. His loss is really regrettable. Well, I think we have discovered a few things that give us some idea what Mr. Ronas had been looking into. Will it be of much help here? Probably not for now. Oh.
Hold it!
He never saw it coming. He never saw it coming. The defendant was his trusted apprentice. To leave town together with him, he must have had quite a bit of faith in him. Seems like he usually preferred to work alone. Someone who you've taught so much to suddenly attack you. How could anyone ever expect that? The strike to the neck was swift. If it was a surprise attack, the victim's head would have been cut off before he realized what was happening. True, I suppose. What about the weapon? Where did the defendant even get it from? I'm not so sure on that. It's likely he was laying around somewhere outside and he simply picked it up. A little convenient, wouldn't you say? Probably, but it's possible. Maybe someone prepared it in advance and placed it somewhere. You're entering the realm of speculation. What ultimately matters is that the weapon turned up from somewhere. While we cannot prove where it came from, or whether the defendant could have known, we have a witness who saw the defendant with a weapon, making the other points redundant. Is there a move I'm just not seeing here? He's more experienced after all. Well, damn. Won't get anywhere with two speculative ideas for now. tried to hide the evidence. Be more specific. Well, he rushed into a nearby abandoned house to drop the blade there. He was also seen covered in blood by the witness, but when we arrested him, he was clean. The fact that he washed it off thoroughly at home before the arrest was made. At home? But could he have gotten past the gate like that? You know the gatekeepers. They don't question these things. All they care about is whether someone has a spell or not. It's the sole rule for permitting entry. We can ask them if they remember seeing the blood, of course. I figured the witness would be enough, though. And he will be. We have already all the confirmation we need. Lovely. Okay, this one is easy. Badge at statement 1 should do the trick. I figure I must sometimes look like a mad scientist, but I'm not that mad. Well, got any better ideas? This testimony doesn't even mention most of the awesome evidence we found. It's super #rude, if anything. On the other hand, this gives us a chance to find a problem in the basics. Defendant, victim, murder weapon. If we can find a definite issue here, we'd be working off a good foundation. The problem is, I don't think something obvious would have been overlooked. Alright. God, this does take a really long time to save. But naturally, the first thing we're going to do is take Ray's advice.
Objection!
Take a look at this! Hey, that's the badge I gave you. You should really wear it on your lapel. Why are you presenting your badge, Mr. Sky? Ray told me things would work out if I did? Are you mocking this court? I say let him off the hook for this one. He's just excited. No, I won't accept it. Accept the badge. What am I doing? Mr. Sky, I was trusting you because a belief in your competence was present in my mind. Please have there be an effort in a direction of increased concentration. Apologies, Your Honor. Off to a nice start. Thanks, Ray. Okay, back up. Now, let's see, where do we start? Figure we might start here? No, we don't start there. I think I'm seeing a contradiction here. Thinking isn't enough. You will have to point it out. Never mind, I must have messed up my thought process somewhere. Mr. Sky, I was trusting you because of... Oh. Whoosh! That was a smooth transition. Titus Rhodos. Oh, wait. And restrooms explored them. And it's best to hide the evidence. Nope. Okay. We're not seeing a contradiction here.
Hold it!
Is this the point? What Mr. Otis was looking into. It's either that or...
Objection!
Okay, nope, not being premeditated. I think we might need to stop and think. Although, come to think of it, another thought we could have, if he never saw it coming, his spell was literally to see it coming.
Objection!
That's why we have access to profiles. That's also evidence regarding people's spells. You have an objection? Why, it has been more than 20 years since I last saw one. Wow. Seems almost too easy. Won't deny it feels pretty exciting. Yay, objection get! I do hope you plan on actually raising it. Then, I will go ahead and do just that. Mr. Descree, I'm sorry, but what you just said is impossible. Don't get carried away. You claim the victim never saw it coming. However, this is directly contradicted by who the victim is. A curious claim. Can you explain what you mean? I do not mean to say that a man like you will not ever make a false judgment. To err is human. Even a skilled investigator like Mr. Ronos can get caught off guard. That's not what I'm saying. For this particular case, saying the victim never saw it coming isn't good enough. The reason is his spell. Familiar history. His spell, you say? Familiar history. Oh. That's right. Linus, before you go on. There's very clearly a problem here. Familiar history let Mr. Ronos see 10 seconds into the future. Someone like that cannot be taken by surprise. You have 10 seconds to see what's going on. At the very least, there'd have been more of a fight, no? Adrian's about to explain why this is not the case. Yeah, you need to stop right there. Sorry, but you got your facts wrong. It's admittedly my fault. It's admittedly my fault, sorry. Well, didn't know at the time either. What do you mean? Ah, yes, you seem to be under a misconception. Mr. Ronos is quite the crafty individual, if maybe a bit too paranoid. Oh, as it turns out, he'd like to give the public the wrong idea about the nature of his spell. Well, the nature of his spell? In other words, we have been misinformed? Oh, lovely. Well, in a way. I didn't know until I got filled in yesterday, either. But even the defendant seemed to be under the impression that this is his spell. He must have demonstrated his ability to look into the future at least once to him. If by demonstrated, you mean he predicted what was going to happen in the next 10 seconds. And this is indeed something Mr. Ronos was able to do with his spell. What? Well, you technically have it backwards. But backwards? So it wasn't that he could look into the future, but what? Familiar history. So it involves the past, and not the future. This does not so much imply a relation to the future than it does to the past. That is true. Being able to see the past wouldn't work. Everyone can do that. You couldn't just see it. Mr. Ronos had the ability to travel into the past. What? Sounds pretty #broken. I'm guessing the limit is more or less the same then. Quite correct. He was able to travel into the past. Up to 10 seconds. To be perfectly clear, he could not use his spell multiple times to go back further. He was actually capable of repeating the same 10 seconds until he got the desired result. The victim's memories, of course, were preserved and sent into the past self, into his past self by the spell's effect. So he and only he remembered this future. Sounds quite useful. Yeah! I guess that explains how he made the predictions and fooled everyone, too. Precisely. He merely traveled back and told them what was going to happen. However, you will have to agree that this is quite different from seeing the future. You do not have knowledge of the events before they happen. I mean, this would kind of explain what Nils saw. If he went to peek around the corner... heard a scream, saw Ronos, waited again, went back, saw him dead. He fucking traveled... I don't even know how that would work with him traveling back in time after he died. He did not have any knowledge of events before they happened. In other words, he could definitely have been taken by surprise. I apologize, but your contradiction does not exist. Oh, there goes that. Shit. Apology accepted, I guess. Sorry again. I should have notified you after I learned about it. Does that clear up all the problems with the basic facts, then? Well, I guess so. Hey, you can't do that! But they cleared up the contradiction. Cleared up? You gotta examine the new information and see if it might cause another problem. That's how you slowly take a case apart. Even if you're completely wrong initially, it's pretty easy. You say that, but, do I actually have the ability to travel back in time? This just makes it possible that he was taken by surprise by an attack, but does it create a new issue? Wait, that's actually a huge problem then, isn't it? Not so fast. The victim's ability was to rewind time. Things should not have played out as they did. In fact, it's something that reveals the victim still had an opportunity to avoid his death. Really now? This is intriguing. Please, show us then. Death occurred within 8 seconds. What do we know? What shows the possibility that the victim's spell could have been used to save him? I assume that's the autopsy report. 10 seconds. Death occurred within 8 seconds.
Take that!
The autopsy states that the victim was dead within 8 seconds. So if we're strict, he wasn't dead instantly. Where are you going with pointing out this technicality? Well, look. Mr. Onus was on a dangerous trip. He would have been on some alert. If he suddenly felt pain, then... Within 8 seconds, he should have figured out he'd been attacked and used his spell reflexively.
Objection!
Ooh! Seriously? You expect him to be able to react? He's the best of the best. The possibility exists. It leads to another problem. The defendant's logic. Think it through. He assumed the victim was able to see 10 seconds into the future. Nobody would even think of launching a surprise attack if they assumed this to be true.
Objection!
There's a possibility the defendant knew the true nature of the victim's spell. In either case, his choice of weapon is a triviality. Does not cast doubt on the result that killed him. It is unlikely, Mr. Justice. The explanation is lacking in plausibility. At least, this would not have been a carefully planned murder. That's right. If he'd planned it, he would have needed some kind of countermeasure against the spell. Not quite the result I wanted, but ruling out premeditated murder still works in our favor.
Objection!
I do not think you've won this skirmish, Mr. Sky. I think this creates an unfortunate problem if we consider Nil's spell. We'll figure that out next time.